morning, students. Today we will discuss Sir Philip Sidney's views on classicism in detail. In the previous lectures, we have discussed about the classical norms according to Sir Philip Sidney. And today, in lecture number 16 of the last of respect for rules, we are going to discuss Sir Philip Sidney's notion of classicism, which he wants to make the writers in general and poetry of England to be of classical type. So, today we will discuss the idea which Sir Philip Sidney expresses through the classical writers like Aristotle, Plato, Horace, Petrarch, Boccaccio, Dante, Longinus, and so on. And in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the ideal concept of classical tragedy, which doesn't follow or faulty with place and time, but the ideal tragedy, the plot of ideal tragedy strictly focus on the unit of action, then the place and time. So, unity of action is of prime importance according to Aristotle or the Greek scholars. So, he further says unity of action is, he repeated again about the unit of action. Aristotle says requiring only one set of events. Requiring only one set of events to be represented. Means only one set of events means which centers around the only one character, and the character is the central of all the actions and incidents and situations that represent pity, fear, emotion, and so on in the audience or in the minds of the spectators. So, unity of action requires only one set of events to be presented in front of the audience or on the stage. Further, he says those arousing pity and fear means such set of events which means those or which arousing pity and fear in the minds of the spectators, readers, audience. Arouse म्हणजे निर्माण करणे means create करणे by observing the incident, situation, events revolves around the one character in the form of unity of action in the life of tragic hero or of the tragic hero which arouses pity and fear means दया वाटली पाहिजे आणि त्याची जी फाल बघून means the loss, fall, the reverse journey that definitely makes us readers, audience, spectators to express pity and fear, and how with unhappy ending means that pity and fear ends with unhappy ending means the tragedy's ending according to classical norms must be with unhappy ending. Before that, there must be arrows of pity and fear in the life of tragic hero, and prior to that, the requirement of one set of events to be represented means concentrating on the unity of action. that which revolves around only one character, not other character has given more importance than the main character, tragic character or the hero of the tragedy. And unhappy ending is the right ending of the tragedy. So, in tragedy, the tragic hero ends. His death is represented on the stage because of his some or other mistake. His goodness finally makes the readers past years become emotional, become pitiful and fearful by such happenings, tragic situation in the life of hero. Further, Sir Philip Sidney says the third rate plays means not the plays which don't have the qualities. Third rate plays of Sidney's time were neither right tragedies nor right comedies. Only means he talks about the tragedies of his time, and according to him they were neither right tragedies nor comedies, but they simply mixing the kings with clowns. So he says the third rate plays means the plays of his time he called as the third rate plays, not the classical one. Third rate plays means a very low quality which have neither right tragedies which are neither right tragedies neither right tragedies nor right, they are of the third rate means the Renaissance or Elizabethan plays are of the third type means of a degraded quality means which don't have any ideal quality means. So his concern means Sydney's concern behind this representation is to follow the classical norms of the Greek, Roman, Italian writers because they were the creators, prophets, heavenly makers, gifted with foreknowledge of things. So their plays are the quality. Classical they were. So simply follow it. And here he says his plays were of the third rate type, not right tragedies nor comic. So he says they were only mixing kings and clowns. Only mixing kings and clowns. Kings and clowns means राजा आणि जोकरला एकत्र केलं means there is no any standard, there is no any quality, though there is no any classical pattern they have followed. So there was neither pity nor fear and nor right sportfulness. So he further says, therefore, therefore there was neither pity nor fear. There was neither pity nor fear. So there was neither pity nor fear and not right sportfulness means the idea which the plays require, right? Sportfulness means which engages the readers, spectators, audience from the beginning to the end. So the tragedies at the time of Renaissance age, Elizabethan age, or the time of Sir Philip Sidney were of third rate type. They are just mingling things with kings, clowns with kings, and they have no any standard pattern of tragedy and comedy. So, what happened? There is not any pitiful, fearful, emotional situation in the tragedy, or there is no any right sportfulness in the comedy. So, the Renaissance plays at the time of Sir Philip Sidney have lost the standard of writing, which requires the high hard work, talent, which the classical writers of Greek, Roman, Italy follows. So, the main concern of Sir Philip Sidney is that he want to raise the standard of Elizabethan Renaissance plays in general, poetry, tragedies in particular. So, the literature of the time of his will definitely consider then once they follow the Greek ancient writers, it will become definitely classical. So, his main purpose or concern, chinta, we will find over here. After this, a representation of the tragedy and comedies at his time, Sir Philip Sidney, by representing this, he or his purpose is to know the reality, to aware the people in general, writers of his time about the degradation, and now it's time to improve yourself, that he says. Because in short, Sydney's whole critical outlook that we are going to see over here through Apology for Poetry is, or it highlights two matters: unities and the tragic comedy was affected by the absence of really good English plays till his time. His main outlook, which he expresses through the apology of poetry or defense of poesy, and he got the proper reason by dismissing the four charges raised by Stephen Gosson about the poetry. He want to explain much more than this dismissing, so he represents the classical norms of Greek, Roman, Italian writers, and he wants to make the literature at his time of the classical types. So, his critical outlook only focus on the absence of classical norms, absence of standard, absence of the rightness in tragedy or comedy as per the requirement. So he says the plays had neither, so he further says the plays of his time had neither decency or discretion, or discretion means quality of careful, discretion means quality of serious or careful in the writing. And decency means we can simply say politeness, because whatever we have to accept it. In a state, the writers of Elizabethan Renaissance or the Sydney's time don't have the politeness or quality of seriousness or carefulness, means that politeness, or we simply say the moral idea. So, Sir Philip Sidney again represents that the plays of his time were of the third rate type, neither tragedies nor comedies, or nor right sportfulness. And after that, he further says the plays of his time had neither decency means nor politeness or the moral representation, which and discretion means the quality of seriousness. Means the writers of his time were not serious and have no quality and not careful, not polite, nor moral. Means whatever the standard or goodness requires, they don't follow in the writing, because they simply mixing the kings with the clowns. It means that the trust on clowns by head and shoulder to play a part in majestical matters. Because when the kings compares with the clowns or clowns with the kings, then what will we come to know? The people have more trust on the clowns or with the king, means they make the type, people, and everything is like a majestical type, means only just make a laugh on the things, and there is no any seriousness of mingling, because where the king sits they give place to the clowns, means they have not followed the standard, not any politeness or morality, thus they are mixing the kings with the clowns. Further, Sir Philip Sidney says that Sir Philip Sidney, by this all observation, reality, and degradation of the literature of his time, he more moved by the masterpieces. Yes, he was more moved, shocked, disturbed. So, after that, Sir Philip Sidney simply request the people, writers of his time, just to follow the great writers like Marlowe, like Aristotle, like Plato, whom he appreciates more. So he says, Marlowe and his romantic dramas by the Marlowe's great successor. So he says, also request and ignored Sir Philip Sidney request the writers of his time, the 16th century writers, to follow the great writer like Marlowe and his successor, like Christabel Marlowe, who was also a great writer who has written the well-known plays like Edward II, Dr. Faustus, Tamerlane the Great, and so on. His all the plays were of the great quality. So he says, follow the Marlowe and his romantic dramas and his romantic dramas that again very well represented by his successor, means Marlowe's followers, disciple, successor has also represented very well. So he says romantic dramas by the Marlowe's great successor, by the represented by Marlowe's great successor, means his followers, and his their names were Sikkom and Allen. Sikkom and Allen. These were the great successor of Marlowe and who has very well represented the romantic dramas. After the Marlowe, they have simply kept the standard and also they, you can say, the purity of writing or the writing of classical and ideal types that Sir Philip Sidney explains here. It means that you, instead doing anything else, why don't you follow the successor of Marlowe? They were also keeping the standard of writing in a very well manner. So you simply follow the Marlowe's successor like Sicumbo and Allen also beside the Aristotle, Plato, Horace, Dante, Petrarch, Boccaccio and so on. So he further says, he gives preference for the unrhymed and class because the tragedy, the ideal tragedies like Garboda, we have seen in the previous lecture, that is a ideal example of tragedy written by Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton, which doesn't give preference or emphasis on the unity of time and place, but it is only deals give stress on the unity of action, though it is good. Again, he says the standard classical writing doesn't depend on the rhyme or classical meter. But beside that unrhyme, also that text become classical one. So he says Sidney's preference for the unrhymed classical meters. Sidney prefers to the unrhymed classical meters because the writers of his time give more time or space to the rhyme and classical meters, means to the rhyme and classical meter. So it means that just they are instead giving the meaning, space or deepness to the text, they were simply engaged in rhyme, rhythm and meter. म्हणजे त्याला फक्त एका पॅटर्नमध्ये बसवण्याचं, जसं रिदम वाटावं, राईम वाटावं ह्यासाठी. बट इन अ स्टेट or without using of rhyme and classical meter, also text becomes very useful. So he says he moved, means he moved more than with a trumpet. So he says he moved more than the trumpet, means which don't have the rhyme, rhythm or classical meter with the trumpet, by the old English ballad. By the old English ballad named Chevy Chase. According to Sir Philip Sidney, Chevy Chase is a well-known ballad which narrates the references of war, tragedy and seriousness, but it is without any rhyme and classical meter, means the harmony, but it gives the detailed explanation, reality, and it finds the classical norms. So he says, though he was still Elizabethan, Renaissance poet, British writer, but his love for this rhyme and rhythm is expected, but his more and more space is to this unrhymeness and to the classical meters. So he gives more and space to the Garbodak pattern he simply follows, which is a classical type of one. Again he says simply follow the Marlowe's successor like Seccombe and Allen. And further he says, though the Chevy Chase ballad is without classical meter, rhyme and rhythm, but its trumpet he like more because of its content, because of its pattern, because of its wit, because of its presentation. So through this respect for rules, his views on classicism, Sir Philip Sidney requests a lot to the poets of his time that you simply follow the classical Greek ancient writers and the classical norms which they have produced. Instead writing the third rate category plays, the plays which are mixing kings with clowns, the place which don't have any politeness, morality and serious or carefulness. So he simply requests to each and everyone that simply follow the classical pattern like the ancient Greek. Though he is Elizabethan and Englishman, he is proud, but he want to raise the standard of the literature at his time to be of classical one. Thank you very much. With this, I stop here.